How about developing a mixed media bouquet using my newest iris stamps and my stamp from last month called Coneflowers? I'm Christy Hartman. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm creating a layered mixed media collage using vintage papers, gel prints, and my newest iris stamps from pmartiststudio. I'll be building the textured collage to bring the stamps to life with colored pencil, and then to ground the composition, I'm placing the irises into a vase made from gel printed papers. This project is all about combining printed texture with hand-drawn elements to create depth and dimension. Take a look at these new stamps. Aren't those fabulous? When I received these from pmartiststudio, I was over the moon with them. I absolutely thought they were spectacular. The detail and the depth in them is amazing. Then we'll add this coneflower stamp to our collage today to finish off our layered mixed media bouquet. Let's get started. These are tags that I've had for a while, and they're a wooden tag, and they're actually fairly large. In fact, they are, I'll tell you exactly how large. They're about 10 1/8 by 3 1/2. So the first thing I did to these was I coated them with a coat of black gesso, and I generally use the Deco Art chalky gesso, and I like the black, although I have some of the other colors as well. Now we're going to put a coat of black paint onto them, and I am just going to use this lamp black from Deco Art. It's a good matte colored black, and I'll let those dry and I'll do the other side. I'll be back for the next step. These are going to be the backs of my tags, and I actually want the backs of these tags to be just as beautiful as the front. I am going to use some strips of newsprint. This is very old newsprint. This is newsprint that's from the 1940s. And I tore it to create a strip. Let me show you how I did that. Technique that Cary Griffiths uses a lot, and he just puts his ruler up against his strip, which I love this technique, and then he pulls it and you get that nice deckled edge. Then I'm going to take, this is archival ink. It says it's dark roast. It's not. I've added other things because I couldn't get the dark roast. Refill and then do the edges. I have a kind of greenish colored piece of a brayer off. These were pages from some book pages that I actually ordered these off Etsy because these were like a children's poetry book, and I love the illustrations in them. I think this is a Joan Walsh England, if I recall correctly. But I just think they're phenomenal. I think they're going to be great for this project. So let's take one of our tags. I've already got this one inked up. I think I want that one down here. Let's do this one. Then let's take this whiter strip. And I am offsetting this off of the edge. I'm not going right up to the edge. I want there to be a little bit of a black border around these. And then I'm going to place this just like so. I'm going to use my regular gel gloss, and I'm okay. That looks great. Let's let that dry. I'm going to put together this one, and I'll be right back. All right, here's this one. Now let's talk for a minute why I use the regular gel gloss. I want to use metallics on these. There was metallics in this green piece, and I didn't want to dull those metallics, and matte medium will dull those metallics. And I want to put metallics over the top of this, so I chose to use the gloss medium. This brush, if you don't have one of these are fantastic. These are a Catalyst by Princeton, and they're a polytip bristle. You can use so much force when you're putting this down. They just work marvelously for this purpose. Now we're going to add some interest to these. This is a piece of fun foam that has this dot pattern on it. I just like it for stamping. We're going to use 359 by PBO and this metallic green. We're going to add just some interest to this with the dots. You could use a stamp. We are going to use my new stamps, and these are irises. One is style 1, the other is style 2. I don't know which one is which. But we're going to stamp just randomly these on the back. Those are going to have to dry. I need to get this in water and get it cleaned off before it's destroyed. I have cut 2 pieces, and if this looks familiar, this was from a previous video where I used lots of greens and Sophia's sketchy scallops. And I purposely cut that hole a little bit bigger because I wanted some of the black to show. I'm not going to use gloss medium on this. Instead, I'm going to try just using my art glitter glue. But before I do that, I want to ink up the edges. I will finish the other one off camera and I'll be back. All right, here we have them. And I don't know that they're going to remain that simple, but this is where I'm going with them for now. I'm going to stamp each one of these with black onto the front of this tag, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. And I have been using this metallic black quite a bit to stamp with. This is a fairly detailed stamp, so I would say you want to do a little bit of pressing to get that so it stamps as well as you want it to. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. All right, I'm going to throw this into the water. Let's grab our brayer it out again. I think we have enough paint there. Let's grab our other tag. Grab this stamp. Pull. Perfect. Look at that. That's beautiful. All right, that'll have to dry. I have decided that I am going to collage some paper onto these leaves of these irises. So I'm tracing on tracing paper. So these are the shapes that I need. I think I want to use, I found this scrap of paper in all my scraps. I think I want to use those. I had an idea that would make this a whole lot easier. Let's take a little piece of washi tape and tape it on this piece of paper about like so. And then we'll hold it in place and it'll be a whole lot easier to cut. Okay, that looks good. These iris stamps are wild irises, and wild irises are generally smaller than a domesticated iris. And usually you have other wildflowers that are blooming around these. What I want to do is I want to use this coneflower and I want to stamp around these a little bit, but I don't want to overwhelm this. I think we'll grab our palette again, our 5 by 7 inch plate. We'll grab some of this dark gold, use our coneflower stamp, yes, that is exactly what I was hoping it would do. And I think you can see that, but that is perfect. Okay, let me hold this one up, give it a wiggle. Yeah, okay, we'll let those dry. I cut some vase shapes. This is actually a piece of deli paper that I've had for a while that I gel printed on. It's been quite a while ago, but it's somewhat translucent. You're going to see the background through, which is kind of what I want. So let's glue these on. And then on top of this, I'm going to add these I punched with my Fisker's punch, and I can't tell you what size this is. Looks like about a 1/2 inch. The next step is to color our irises. I think I'm going to use colored pencils on those. We are going to use clear gesso. I use the Liquitex just because that's what I have. If you have something different, use it. If you have watercolor ground, that will work too. It doesn't have to be just the clear gesso. Let's let that dry and I'll go get my colored pencils. So wild irises, and this is a wild iris right there. That's what they look like. The ones that I've seen anyway, I'm sure there are other colors of them, but the ones I've seen are kind of a light lavender purple, but I think that's too light for this instance. So we're going to use a little artistic license. We are going to start with this 994, which is process red. And we're just going to be light with this and just kind of fill in these spaces. let's come in with, this is mulberry, $9.95. Let's start adding in some of our shadowed areas, just darkening some of these in. We need some lighter areas, so I gotta grab a pink. And here's a pink. This is just $9.29. Let's just kind of lighten up some of those lighter areas. Let's lighten some of those areas up with a little bit of white. This will also blend some of them in. Let's go in with our purple and just add in the darkest shadows. Now we could go in with a black. I think that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to leave that be, because I think it looks fine. Now this one, let's go in next with mulberry. Okay, let's go in with some purple and just darken those areas in. Okay, let's go back in with this pink. Just lighten some of these areas up. I'm thinking I'm pretty happy with that. You get the definite idea that it's an iris. I think that looks pretty darn good. Let's put these away and I'll be back. I'm going to do just a little bit of pencil work right here on this vase. I just kind of want to give it a little bit more definition here. And I did not put clear gesso on this. I don't think I need to. This has enough tooth to it that I don't think it's a problem. Just going over this with the turquoise blue. And this is a Faber-Castell Polychromo, and this is a dark indigo. Now let's put, I'm going to turn this to the side. Let's put a little bit of a highlight up here. Let's bring that down. This is a French gray 90%. I'm just going to give it just a little bit of a shadow here. I gave it a little bit more, the vase a little bit more definition. All right, let's do the same thing to this one. Probably use the same colors even. Let me put these away and I'll be back. Here are our tags. They're finished. We've added all of the detail that we're going to add to these. and I think they turned out spectacularly. And the nice thing about them is you can use this side, or you can flip them over and use the other side, which also includes the iris stamps in coordination with some book papers. Or if you hang these up and you hang them somewhere where you can see both sides, you have a completed work of art on both sides of these tags. So I've done two completely different styles of collage on these. This side strictly uses book papers as the focal point, and then everything else adds dimension and depth. Or this one, where the iris becomes the focal point and everything is in the background with the exception of the vase. I like both of them. In fact, I love the way they combine together. The added stamping on these allows for depth and texture, and just that little pop of gold in the background, I think, adds a tremendous amount of interest. Which do you prefer? I'm curious. Tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed this kind of layered collage work, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got more mixed media projects coming your way. In fact, next month, look for another wildflower stamp coming your way from pmartiststudio. Let me know. Did you like this tag idea well enough? Maybe we'll add next month's wildflower to our bouquet of layered collaged mixed media tags. Leave me a comment. I always love to hear from you. I will see you in my next video.